Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I'm recording this on the day before on Tuesday, so it just seems like it works better that way for everybody. And I actually look like I'm in school clothes today, so it's kind of a win for everybody. Um, First of all, a couple things before we get started today. I said on Monday's video, I think that I was going to do shout outs for people that reached their challenge, not on spring break week, but the week before on Exact Path. And so I forgot to do those until today. So there were three people out of both classes, three people total that reached their 60-minute challenge, okay, on Exact Path. The first one from my homeroom was Christine, so awesome job, Christine. And then the two people from Mrs. Reynolds' homeroom who reached their 60 minutes of Exact Path reading that week before spring break were Natalia and Olivia Weiner. So awesome job, girls there. So I hope next week when I do this video, I have a lot more shout outs to do. I was just looking on Exact Path, and the week before spring break, it wasn't super good. In my homeroom, there was only 4 people total who even did 1 or more minutes on Exact Path. So there's 26 people in my homeroom. Only 4 of you were on Exact Path. Okay, that's something that if you watch the videos or if you read what we're doing in Google Classroom, that's something that you're supposed to be doing every single day. Okay. And then in Mrs. Reynolds' room, there was a couple more. There was 8 of you out of 27. So 8 people out of 27 were doing their Exact Path. So please, I know it's not the most fun thing, but you can do anything for 10 minutes a day. And if you do it for 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll get your 60 minutes. Okay. It's not that bad. Okay, so good job, the 3 of you girls. The second thing that I want to talk about before our video, our read aloud today and explaining the assignments is, as I told you guys on Monday's video, it was my birthday on Saturday, and I forgot to show you. So my parents, they live like 30 minutes away, but I obviously couldn't see them they couldn't see me on my birthday. And so I woke up and I had a text from my dad that said, "Look out your window." And I was like, what the heck, that's weird. And so on my front lawn, out my front window, there were a bunch of cardboard cutouts of my head. Literally this. I had like 7 of these in my front yard. So I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. So I kept one, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I think it's kind of funny. So I just wanted to show you guys that was what I woke up to on my birthday on Saturday. It was very odd. The neighbors gave me all kinds of weird looks. Okay, so just wanted to share that. Our chapter today is chapter 9. Ooh, it's only like 2 pages, so maybe we'll read some of chapter 10 too. Yeah, because combined, both of them together are only 10 pages. So we're going to read chapters 9 and chapters 10, so bonus chapter day. The noise got louder and louder, drowning out the honks and rattles echoing from busy Commercial Street. But it wasn't the growling gurgles that sent stabs of fear through Carmen. The entire tank was rocking back and forth. The rounded sides were bulging in and out. The metal groaned and squeaked. And then, bang, 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 bang. Something small hit the ground inches from Tony's boot. Carmen stared. It was a tiny piece of metal, the size of Carmen's finger, covered with brown syrup. "It's one of the bolts," Carmen cried. The bolts, rivets that held the tank together. There were thousands of them. And now all the rivets seemed to let go of the tank at once. Bang, 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 bang. They blasted through the air like bullets. Bang, 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 bang. Rosie whinnied. They had to get away from here. "Tony," Carmen said quickly. She offered him her hand to help climb up onto Rosie with her. "Get on, let's go." But just then a rivet came whistling through the air. It hit Rosie in the neck. She let out a high-pitched screaming cry and then reared up as blood spurted from the wound. Carmen fell off and hit the ground hard. And before she knew it, Rosie had taken off. Without Carmen. "Rosie!" Carmen screamed. Tony was at her side in a flash, pulling her up. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" But Carmen didn't have time to answer. Kaboom! The tank shattered apart. Jagged sheets of metal went whirling through the air. As the tank collapsed, the molasses inside seemed to hover in the air for a split second, a massive roiling cloud. And then it crashed to the ground, a colossal churning wave. The gagging stench of molasses rushed up Carmen's nose and down her throat, deep into her guts. Screams of terror pounded in her ears, shouts in English and Italian. "Help me! Run! Get out of here!" Carmen couldn't help looking back as she and Tony ran for their lives. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. The wave of molasses was at least 20 feet tall, and swirling and churning in every direction. With each passing second, it devoured more of the waterfront. It smashed into buildings, tearing them to pieces, picked up sheds and wagons, horses and men. The roar got louder as the wave filled with wreckage. She and Tony ran as fast as they could, but the wave was faster. Within seconds, it had caught them. Chapter 10. Was this how Papa felt when the tidal wave swept up over the village? When the churning water grabbed him and Carmen and pulled them out to sea? No, Carmen thought, because this wave was nothing like water. It was thick and gooey. It felt alive as it rose up around her legs. Carmen had read about a kind of snake that wrapped itself around its prey, choking it to death. Now Carmen felt like 1,000 snakes were wrapping themselves around her, trying to pull her down. She and Tony locked eyes. What should they do? What could they do? It became impossible to run. Each step was a battle through the thick slime, and with every blink the molasses was rising higher, to their waists, to their chests. Carmen's clothes were soaked. The goo coated her skin. It was already hardening around her, trapping her inside a shell. The molasses was up to her chin now. Globs splashed into her mouth, sickly sweet, sharp and bitter. It made her think of rot, of old garbage left out in the sun, buzzing with flies, crawling with rats. Her stomach twisted. She was afraid she would be sick. She and Tony looked desperately around, but everyone near them was struggling too. There was nobody to help them. Carmen thought of Papa again, how he'd found that old shutter to float on. That's what they needed, a piece of wreckage to keep them from sinking. And just then Carmen saw it, something big made of wood. It was part of a horse wagon. Tony, grab that, she screamed. There was not a second to waste. It took all of Carmen's strength to propel herself forward through the muck. She pulled herself up the wagon so half of her body was out of the molasses. Tony grabbed hold of the side, but before he could pull himself up, he lost his grip on the slime-covered wood. Carmen clung to the wagon with one hand, and she reached down with the other. She managed to grab Tony's arm, and with every last bit of strength she had, she yanked him hard. He threw up his arms over the wagon wheel, locking them together. The wagon bobbed and wove in the churning molasses. Terrible sounds rose up around them. Cries of fear and moans of pain, the screeching of metal. Molasses coated Carmen's face, an itching, burning, dripping mask. She and Tony huddled together, too terrified to talk. All they could do was look around in horror. Now Carmen knew how Dorothy felt when she fell out of that tornado and landed in the strange land of Oz. Except that Oz was a magical land filled with bright colors and jeweled cities. This strange place was a nightmare, a wasteland of rubble covered with brown slime. The destruction reminded Carmen of the pictures she'd seen in the newspaper and battlefields of the Great War. The cities and forests of France and Belgium turned to charred ruins. Wagons and motor cars and parts of buildings swirled around them, and people. A man, his shoulder badly bloodied, clung to a barrel. Another man was thrashing wildly, trying to keep his head above the surface. A woman was face down, not moving at all. How many people were trapped in the flood? Dozens? Hundreds? Was Tony's family safe? What about Mr. Lawrence and the kids at school? What about Rosie? Carmen leaned harder against Tony, and that's when he screamed, "Watch out!" From nowhere, a giant piece of the tank smacked into the wagon, nearly flipping it over. Tony managed to keep his grip, but Carmen slipped off. "Carmen!" Tony's voice was the last thing she heard as the molasses swallowed her up. And that's the end of the chapter. All right. So a couple things for Wednesday. If you did not finish your slideshow about your informational project, try to get that to me done by today, by the end of the day today. So that way Thursday and Friday I can give you guys some feedback. So if you haven't finished or you just have a couple more slides left, please make sure that you're either turning it in Google Classroom or you're sharing it with me if you did do it in Google Classroom, so that way I can actually see it. Okay. But what you're also going to do is you're going to do your 10 to 15 minutes of ExactPath. You're going to read 20, 25 minutes, and then you're going to do your word work today. And so your word work today is you're going to take your 5 vocabulary words from Tuesday, and you're going to write them into sentences. So yesterday on Tuesday, you wrote the definitions. Now you're going to take each of those words and write them in a sentence, okay? So make sure that you're doing that in a Google Doc on today's assignment in Google Classroom, so that way I can see what you guys are working on, okay? Last thing, and I know this is kind of a longer one today, so I'll be quick, but I just got off a Zoom call with all the 5th grade language arts teachers and then Mrs. Jamerson and Mrs. Stitt. And we are supposed to be letting them know who's doing their work and who's not doing their work. So Next week, there's going to start to be graded assignments, just so you're aware. I'll talk more about that later on. But you need to make sure that you're getting your work done, okay? Because it could impact the rest of the year. You need to make sure that you're getting that. So that way, when you go to sixth grade, you're able to start off on the right foot. Okay, so please make sure you're doing your exact path, you're doing your reading, and you're doing whatever the assignment is. I don't just do the assignments just because I'm bored and want to give assignments. It's because that we as fifth grade teachers have determined that all these assignments are important. One, for you guys to maintain where you guys are at as fifth graders, and two, they're able to be done by anybody without me sitting right next to you doing your work. So all these things we've done before, you're able to do them. I'm getting a couple emails a day from parents like, my kid doesn't know how to get onto exact path, or my kid doesn't know what you mean by writing the definitions, or my kid doesn't know how to use Google Classroom. Okay, these are all things we've done all year long. So please, please, please make sure that you guys are doing your work. And if you have questions, if you really can't figure something out, I'm literally around all day, right? I'm not going anywhere. Okay, so if you email me, those of you who've been emailing me, you know I respond like within the hour usually. So if you have a question, please, please, please email me. Don't just say I don't know how to do it and then give up and not do any work, because then I have to tell Mrs. Jamerson that you weren't doing your work that day, and then they have to give your parents a call, and there's all these things that they're going to have to do starting next week. So please make sure that you're getting your work done, and if you have any questions, please let me know. All right. I think Mrs. Reynolds, I don't know if she sent it out yet, but I think when I was talking to her yesterday, she said we're doing a Zoom maybe on Wednesday. So I will hopefully see some of you guys on that Zoom. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.